Hey guys, and welcome back to Sports Talk. My name is Lexi Scutari, and I'm here today with Jarrett Hobbs and Craig Tommy. How are y'all doing today?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So for our next topic, we're going to be talking about the UConn's women's basketball team and how they've been getting a lot of negative feedback for their ongoing winning streak. Jarrett, what are some of your initial thoughts about the negativity they've been putting on a team for just simply being good?
Well, actually, this entire story came up after a Boston Globe columnist actually said on his Twitter, making note of the UConn women's basically crushing defeat over Mississippi State, 98-38. He basically said that had to give them credit, but they were killing the women's game. So right there in their own neighborhood, Massachusetts and Connecticut, not too far from each other, that's where it all begun. And it brings a lot of debate. Should a team be that good that they defeat the competition like that, or should all the other teams rise up to their level? And that's really where it's came.
Right. How about you, Craig?
Well, my initial thoughts were it's incorrect. It feels like it's a sexist remark. I grew up in a family with four women, four sisters and a brother. So I was female dominated, and they were no less athletes. It's just a different game. To me, it feels a lot like Tiger Woods when he played. When he came up playing golf. Nobody was playing golf. Nobody was interested in golf, and then golf took off as a recreational sport because of his dominance. So to me, I think it's just we're in this stage where the UConn Huskies women's team is just going to elevate the game. I think you're going to see a lot of kids at home going to start, trying to hustle harder, trying to make that goal to either be on that team one day or beat that team.
Right. So that leads me into my next question. Say the tables were turned for a split second and this was a men's team. Do you think that the sports community would be supporting them, or do you think they'd be giving them negative feedback just like the women's? How about you?
Oh, I definitely think they would be given a negative feedback. That's just the nature of I feel like human beings are naturally negative
Right.
at first glance. Just look at like the New England Patriots, for example. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. When teams are good, they get hated on. So I do think there'd be more interest, but I don't think that it would be loving interest.
Right. How about you, Jarrett?
Actually, I'm going to say opposite of what Craig said. A perfect example to talk about here is the UCLA John Wooden-led team that actually won 7 NCAA tournaments in a row, had some amazing players, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being one of them, and he gets praised. They view him as one of the best head coaches in all of sports. And all credit to Coach Gino. He's led this team and really brought women's basketball to the forefront. If it wasn't for Connecticut team, would we be talking about women's basketball? They would have played the national championship last night, and it would have just happened.
Right.
And it's the style how they win that I think people are against. Just look at the Golden State Warriors. They're on their streak. You hear about every other day. You hear somebody, Charles Barkley, saying that they wouldn't get a single game against the Bulls with Michael Jordan or anything along those lines. So it's the style that they win that I think's hurting this team, but I don't think it's hurting the sport. You have to bring it to a new level at some point. Even the All-Star for UConn, Brianna Stewart, said that it's a fine line because you have a team that's playing a sport that people find kind of boring.
Right.
But then at the same level, they're playing at such a level that they're crushing their opponents, and people just tune out. Much like Villanova playing OU in the Final Four, people tuned out, but people came in large droves to see them play North Carolina.
Right. Well, thank you, boys. Looks like that's all we have time for today. Be sure to tune in next week for our show.
everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Holly Hayward. I have with me Anthony Roman and Tiffany Childers. And with it being Masters Week, we're going to talk about Jordan Spieth and if he's going to be able to defend his Masters championship title and regain his #1 spot as #1 golfer in the world. Hello, guys. Thanks for being here.
Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
Okay, so what do you think about Jordan Spieth? Do you think he can defend his Masters, championship win last year and become #1 golfer again?
I think he does have a chance, given the fact that he's already won one already. But he does have other players that he has to go up against, such as Jason Day, Ricky Fowley. There are a lot of other players out there that can give him a chance, give him a run for his money.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And considering that he won his 7th PGA tournament event before the age of 23, I think he's pretty much set.
Yeah. Okay, so what are the odds of Spieth catching Tiger Woods' 14 major championship wins and possibly even Jack Nicklaus's 18 major championship wins, since he's already he's 22 now and he won 2 at the age of 21? What do you think the odds are of him catching those 2 awesome golfers?
Okay, so I don't know, I think that he's going to do a really great job. He's set so many records, and he's so young. He won his 2nd Masters, and he tied Wood's 72-hole record.
Yeah,
So.
last year. Mm-hmm.
There is a chance. There's always a possibility, but there's also the possibility of him getting injured. Injury does play a key factor, especially in longevity. With longevity, and if we're talking about him, trying to win another, repeating, and granted, he'd be the only person. He'd be one of 4 players to repeat.
Right.
So you have to look at that, but there's a lot of pressure going in. Not many people can actually stay #1, as we've seen over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. Well, do y'all see any obstacles that could derail, his success?
Well, as I said, injuries is one of them. Maybe the possibility of him getting tired of the game. People do get tired of the game. There's that possibility. You never know.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're out of time, so thank you guys both for being here, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hello, I'm Jared Hobbs, and this is Hockey Talk, the top spot for hockey in all the natural state. Today we're going to talk about if the Great White North has entered a Great White Blizzard. Today on the show with me is Lexi Scatori and Craig Tommy. Thanks for being on the show, and please, Craig, we'll start with you. I know that you're an avid hockey fan.
Huge.
And tell me, is this it for Canada being the king of hockey?
I think it's been it. If you look back to the early 90s, there's a movie called The Mighty Ducks. And if you remember this movie, it's a Disney movie. It takes place in America. The only other movie I can think of hockey-related is Miracle, about the United States hockey team. If you just look at current hockey in the NHL, your last 5 champions are going to have 3 champions from Chicago, you have 2 from Los Angeles, and 1 from Boston. And one interesting statistic, the number 1 point scorer in the league right now, Patrick Kane, an American. It is an American sport now.
Lexi?
Yeah, I do truly feel like Canada's kind of slipping at their fingertips when it comes to hockey. What's sad is it's Canada's identity. So the fact that this is the first time they have not made it to the playoffs, I think it shocked a lot of people. I know Canadians are probably not very happy right now.
Now, overall, if we look at the stats, actually in the Western Conference, the bottom 4 teams are from Canada. And they actually, 3 of them were actually in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, Winnipeg being a wild card and so on. So the last time that a Stanley Cup was held by a Canadian team was in 1993, Montreal Canadiens. What changed? What changed? When did Canada lose its game?
Well, I think it goes back to the strike. Back, I want to say in the last 15 years, the most recent strike. That's when the collective bargaining was changed. That's when players were able to get out of the contracts, renegotiate, and most importantly, the weather. I think you're playing hockey in the playoffs. You're playing right now. It starts now and goes through the summer, and there's no place better you want to be than at the beach. That's why you're seeing Los Angeles. Why you're seeing Tampa, you're seeing the Florida teams, even Phoenix, has been good over the last few years. I just think it's a matter of, I think Canadians are loyal to where they're from and love the sport, but in reality, better weather. That's where they want to play.
Better weather indeed. One final note, the Atlantic Conference is actually led by Tampa Bay and Florida right now, who have already clinched their ticket to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Thanks for being on the show, and this has been Hockey Talk here at UATV.
Can we start that over? Okay. Okay, anyway. So, hello, my name is Tiffany Childers, and welcome to today's show.
Wait, we'll just start all the way over.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Childers, and welcome to today's show. Our focus today will be on the 49ers' former defensive end Aldon Smith and his return to the Oakland Raiders. Last August, he was suspended due to Smith was suspended last August due to a series of arrests that included a hit and run and vandalism. Considering Smith's multiple charges, okay, so stressed. So sorry.
You can do it. Tell him to count down from 5.
Just keep going. Okay. These are my guests, Holly Hayward and Anthony Roman. Okay. Considering Smith's multiple charges, do you think the NFL should have let him return?
Personally, I think that everybody should get a chance. He did take his time off, which they told him he had to. He did it. I don't think he's been caught doing anything else wrong. So I think that, give him a chance. If he messes up again, that's a little different. But I think as of now, let him come back, try to prove himself.
Honestly, I agree with you to a certain point. There's got to be something. A foot has to be put down. Especially when you're getting in trouble for substance abuse. And he's suspended for the year. For violating the substance abuse for the second straight time. There's that possibility of what if. You take the chance on signing this guy, and it's what if. So
Right.
yeah, it's hit or miss with this guy.
Right. Do you think the behavioral guidelines that the NFL sets should be changed?
I do. I think there needs to be a lot more harsher punishment, consequences for, being a role model and having kids look up to you and getting, constantly getting in trouble. Then yeah, I think there needs to be a lot more strict rules out there for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. When you have young kids looking up to you and, wanting to be you, you need to be able to, if you're going to put yourself on that platform, you have to be able to prove that you deserve to be there. And I feel like, maybe they should be a little stricter so that we can keep things like that, out of the media and out of, not for so children don't follow things like that.
Right. Do you think the Raiders' reputation will change after signing a suspended player who was accused of substance abuse?
I think that it could affect them, but I do think it's horrible to say, but there's a lot of this going on right now, in all type of, professional sports. So I think that it might, kind of, slip under the rug a little bit, but I think that, up front, it might, affect them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go back to, the whole Michael Vick situation, there was he got a second chance and he came back and he hasn't, been in any trouble. So like I said, there's also that chance of a what if. And, it doesn't hurt the Raiders' reputation. It just kind of, if he comes back healthy and he comes back with the mindset that he wants to play this game, then yeah, he'll have that chance to actually go a little further and maybe, put the spotlight back on the Raiders in a positive light.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And thank you for coming to today's show.
Of course.
And my name is Tiffany Childers.
All right, go Raiders.
Hi, welcome to UATV, and this is Craig's Corner. I'm Craig Tommy, and today in the corner we're going to talk about Major League Baseball. Today joining me, I have Jarrett Hobbs and Lexi Scatori. Today, most specifically, I want to start off talking about the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs are the odds-on favorite to win the World Series this year. They're 9-2 favorites. They haven't won a World Series in a really long time. Lexi, we'll start with you. Are the Northsiders going to do it this year?
You know, I'm a Yankees fan, so this is kind of hard for me to say. But honestly, I could see them going a long way. They have a very young team, but they do have the Rookie of the Year, Chris Brandt, on their team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything can happen in baseball. That's the thing. You could think that one person's going to go all the way, and then they're cut off instantly. So.
That is true. Success is defined by 300 is considered successful.
Right.
Hitting the ball 3 times out of 10 is considered successful. Jarrett, what do you think? The Cubs, are they the favorite? Can they do it?
I think they're the favorite. Just where we are right now, we've only had really, some teams have played 3 games. Most have only played 2. Some have only played 1. Right now, both Chicago teams are 2-0, so they've got the victory. The Cubs were able to beat the Angels both times they faced off. And I think if you look at it, they won the offseason. They got people like Jason Hayward and Dexter Fowler, and they've really done a good job with that front office, bringing people to make the Cubs no longer be a perennial loser, but possibly be a perennial winner.
Well, that's right. And you said the front office. Theo Epstein, who, as the Yankees know, was the head of the front office at the Boston Red Sox, right? So you know about that. So you brought up a good point. Youth. Is youth a major factor when it comes to being successful in baseball?
You know, I think youth is a huge factor. It could go either way. A young team could mesh very well on the field, or a young team could play selfish and not know what they're doing as a team, like work together in a way.
Very true. Real quick, who's your pick? World Series pick? 2 teams and a winner.
Red Sox, Yankees, and Yankees, of course.
Of course.
I'm going to go the 2 darlings of last year's playoff, Cubs and Astros, and I'm going to say the Cubs do it. They break the record. We finally get to see a happy Bill Murray. No more that NCAA, him with the frown, happy Bill Murray.
I'm with you there. Cubs in 4. For UATV, I'm Craig Tommy. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Romans Knows Best. I'm Anthony Roman, I'm your host, and today I'm here with Tiffany Childers and Holly Hayward, and today we're going to be talking about the Warriors and their chances of making it to the finals again. Do you think they should rest their guys going into the playoffs?
I honestly think that they should. Stephen Curry has bad ankles, and putting him in the games could risk a possible injury, and that would just go really bad for everyone.
I think that he's just so valuable to the team, though, so I kind of disagree. I think maybe, see how he's feeling and stuff, but I do think that he is so valuable and, really, carries the team to an extent. So I don't know if sitting him out really is the best idea. I kind of think maybe keep him playing and see how he does, because he's done great this season. He already beat his own record, and, so.
Well, there also is that chance, of them beating that record that they are trying to go for, and that's something that Steve Kerr has said over the season, that if they win, if they continue winning, he won't rest them. If they don't make it, he'll rest them. Mm-hmm. But that leads me into my next question. They play the Spurs this week, and with the Spurs coming up this week, they are a formidable foe, and they have a chance of meeting them in the playoffs. Do you think they have a chance of making it back to the finals, knowing that there's a chance to play the Spurs again?
Mm-hmm. I mean, their average per game is 115 points, and with Stephen Curry, I mean, their offense is looking sharp. So,
I don't know. I think it's really anyone's game because they are 1-1 right now. So I mean, it's going head to head, they are pretty evenly compared, and I think it's really anyone's game. It's who can play the best, what team can pull it together, and keep up the momentum and keep it going. So.
Well, I guess that is all for today's show. I'm Anthony Roman on Romans Knows Best, and we'll see you next time.